The Lake Malawi Shire River hydrological system represents Malawi's single most important natural resource system. The Shire River provides water for a number of productive purposes, including hydropower, agriculture, fisheries, transport, tourism, urban water supply, and rural water users along the length of the river, in addition to various environmental functions. The Shire River originates here at Msamama on Lake Malawi and flows for 520 kilometers through the southern region of Malawi. It is joined by numerous rivers and streams and merges with the Zambezi River in Mozambique. But within the whole basin of Shire River from Msamama to Zambezi River are many challenges that are threatening the existence of this particular river. Such challenges include high population density and poor land management practices, which have led to significant degradation of the Shire Basin's natural resource base, such as land and forests. The growing population and high levels of poverty has resulted in increased and unsustainable harvesting of forests and woodlands for firewood and charcoal production. Agricultural practices are extensive, and farmers expand the cropped areas rather than intensify production on existing fields. As a result, the catchment areas are now severely degraded. In order to reverse and improve the situation so that Malawi benefits fully from Shire River and economic benefits happening in its basin, Government of Malawi, through the Ministry of Finance, signed an agreement with the World Bank, the Global Environmental Facility, and the Least Developed Countries Fund for the co-financing of the Shire River Basin Management Program. William Chipeta is the project coordinator for the Shire River Basin Management Program and says the 15-year program has 3 phases and is aimed at generating sustainable, socio-economic, and environmental benefits by realizing effectiveness in planning, developing, and managing all natural resources found in the basin of Shire River.
The Shire River Basin Management Program is a program that looks after the entire Shire River Basin from Mangochi to Nsanje. In this basin, over 5 million people live. And in this basin, we produce 97% of hydropower in Malawi. In this basin, it has got greatest irrigation potential. We are already, as a sector, looking at designing an irrigation scheme that is focusing at having area of irrigation of about 42,000 hectares in the lower Shire by abstracting water from the Shire and irrigating most of the lower Shire. But this area we are talking about, it has got its fair share of challenges. The challenges in this particular area is that the population is increasing, and every time the natural resources on which everybody depends is becoming less and less, the water is becoming less, the land is becoming less, and because of the increase of population, there is pressure on the resources. There is a lot of cutting of trees. Therefore, by doing that, we are degrading the environment in the Shire. But at the same time, we are also having difficulties in because of degradation of the catchments in the Shire. There is a lot of siltation that is affecting hydropower production in the middle of the Shire, but also affecting irrigation, but also treatment of water resources.
Chipeta says the project is expected to, among others, develop management information system that will help defining management levels in ensuring that Malawi benefits fully from the resources that can be derived out of the Shire Basin.
The objective of the Shire River Basin Management Program is to develop a strategic planning development framework for the entire Shire River Basin, but also to support targeted investments that are designed to improve land and water resources, environmental services, but also improve people's livelihoods in the entire Shire River Basin.
And in his remarks, Principal Secretary for Water Development and Irrigation, who also chairs the steering committee of Shire River Basin Management Program, Sandram Maweru, says government has very high expectations of this project because findings have indicated that over 5.5 million people live, work and depend on the Shire River Basin.
The expectations of the government implementing this project are that we should enhance and exploit the potential of the Shire Basin. By exploring the potential, I'm trying to indicate that there will be an improvement in economic activity because there are quite a number of interventions that we're going to implement, but also efficient use of the resources in the basin. There are issues pertaining to catchment management, which is an issue in the Shire Basin because it affects all the activities in the basin. Availability of water for plant and water board, hydropower generation, but also flooding, which to a certain extent is as a result of the activity within the basin. So the project has been designed in such a way that it provides that leverage that we should improve on managing the basin so that we exploit the potential of the basin.
Maweru therefore emphasizes the commitment of the Malawi government to ensuring that this project is a success. He says this is why government has incorporated this project in its public sector investment plan. This is a framework that incorporates all relevant projects that government would like to prioritize.
The commitment that government has included this in the PSIP, the public sector investment plan, which clearly shows that government will continue to put resources into this program. But also we have deliberate programs that we are capacitating technical officers from various ministries, various implementing agencies, so that they look through the implementation of this program, because as you've rightly said, it's a long-term program divided into phases. So the only way we can do that is to sustain that through capacitation, but also ensuring that it is included in the public sector investment plan. But also government has made sure that it facilitates all the required investments leading to the actual exploiting of the investment that we have. Issues of compensation, government has done that, securing the area so that when we hand over to the contractor, there are no bottlenecks.
The flow of the Shire is regulated at Liwonde through the Kamuzu Barrage, which was constructed in 1965. It regulates flows to the downstream hydropower stations, which generate 98% of Malawi's electricity. The structural stability of the barrage is now compromised, affecting its regulating capacity due to a manual operating regime and a poor state of maintenance.
It is dilapidated in nature and most of the gadgets are not functional. Actually, one of the gates is stuck down, it's not moved down. So you can actually see that the function, the perfection of function is not as accurate as supposed to be. But you also notice that there is a bridge. The barrage is just, the gates are actually under a bridge. That bridge is also used by the pedestrians and also the motor vehicles. But at the same time, those who are operating the barrage also have to stand on the same bridge. So currently, you also notice that in 1965, the traffic to date the volume of traffic has actually increased tremendously. So what we want to do is to improve the operation of the barrage by bringing in new structures. In that, what will remain is we'll remove all the existing gates, which are actually the barrages, right out of that, and replace with the new ones. That's one. And in that way, we're saying that we are improving the efficiency in terms of controlling the flow of water downstream and upstream. And then we'll construct a new bridge parallel to existing one. So this new bridge will actually be used for vehicular traffic, so that the existing bridge, which is also not is also usable, will only be used for the operations of the bridge. You want to separate the two actions. But then this bridge which is existing now, which we are saying we're going to use for the operation of the bridge, will partly be demarcated to give space for pedestrians to use, so that the new bridge which will be constructed will be solely for vehicular traffic.
Nyasulu says due to land degradation within the basin of Upper Shire River, hydropower production in the Middle Shire has critically been affected due to high sediment load and weeds. This has increased the downtime for turbine maintenance and repair and has also resulted in the high dredging and disposal costs.
So if you stand on the Camus Bridge, there you'll find on the bridge you actually see there's something which is cutting across, and you usually find that it's loaded with some weights. That one, the efficiency is not okay as at current, because most of the weights just go over. Some of them just go under, so it's not operating properly. So what we also want to do is to put a new state-of-the-art weight boom. So this one will have a bigger portion or a bigger capacity to capture more weight, and it also has the capacity to make the weight go in one direction that can be captured on the eastern side, so that no weight is able to flow downstream.
Research by NIRA's consultants has shown that the Lower Shire Valley is a source of livelihood to many communities who benefit from its extensive floodplains and wetlands. But human activity has resulted in pollution of the waters of the Shire. The tributaries of the Shire pass through heavily cultivated areas and urban settlements that pollute water through agricultural runoff, human and industrial waste.
One of the problems that Malawi faces is, for instance, inefficiency of agriculture, and we will be proposing ways that efficiency can be improved through irrigation and better use of the water, improvement of the crops and so on, so that people will be more productive and the water will be more productive for the benefit of the people. We will be looking at water for allocation to hydropower, so that people have more energy in their homes. Water for the environment, so that people have a good environment to live in, and particularly places like the elephant marshes down in the bottom end of the Shire. So I think there are going to be a lot of benefits to the people, and that's what we're really aiming for. That we will be developing a vision of the stakeholders and what they want to see, and that's what we will be designing our plan to achieve. So I think it's a very, very worthwhile project. We've seen this, I've been involved in these sorts of projects before, and if it's implemented well, this will bring very large benefits to not only people in the Shire Basin but all through Malawi.
Malawi reenacted her own Water Resource Act in 2013. This act gives a provision of establishing catchment management authorities. One of the duties of these authorities is to control and develop water resources within catchment areas and be able to monitor as well as assess both surface and groundwater resources for decisions on investments. However, very few catchment management authorities have been established, and there has been no authority for the overall Shire Basin catchment. Austin Tibu, a technical team member of Watershed Planning, says the project has managed to generate interest in traditional leaders and communities living within the Shire River Basin to start managing the basin in order to realize maximum benefits.
We have learned from past lessons that we need to engage communities right from the inception of each project. And in this project, we started with the communities in planning and scoping what are the issues. And then this time around, we have engaged them in planning their own activities. But first of all, we have started with strengthening the local institutions at local level so that they respond to whatever they need in terms of improving their livelihoods and natural resource management. The response has been quite positive. At the moment, with support from the project, we are conducting sensitization meetings, and the next step, we are going into the actual planning of activities that can improve their livelihoods, and so far, so good.
With such interest, members of communities and their traditional leaders, with assistance of the Shire River Basin Management Program, have been able to develop guidelines on how they would like to benefit from the Shire. This, according to Samantha Braid of Orecon, an organization that is helping in developing national catchment management guidelines for Shire River, says a key question of ownership of the program by the people who live in the basin has been achieved.
So the guidelines that we're looking at, there's two types of guidelines. One set is technical guidelines, which is essentially what the communities can do on the ground themselves, types of activities, slight adjustments in the farming practices in order to improve the environmental quality, and as well as to improve the yield of the farming practices as well, so that we get more yield out of the land. We're looking at efficiency of water use as well. So those are very basic technical guidelines. And then the second set of guidelines is procedural guidelines. So what does government need to change or put into place in terms of policies and support structures in order to support catchment activities at the community level?
Shire River Basin Management Program has begun carrying out activities that will eventually strengthen the management of natural habitat block in the Shire Basin. These natural blocks include forest reserves, national parks and wildlife reserves. The goal is to protect and enhance the delivery of environmental services such as catchment protection, flood attenuation, biodiversity conservation and carbon sequestration as basis for generating revenues from tourism. Some of these critical natural tourism blocks are Liwonde National Park, Lengwe National Park, and Elephant Marsh. William Gola is the Assistant Director of Parks and Wildlife in the Ministry of Tourism and says the program is investing heavily in this sector, for there is direct linkage between benefits accrued to the communities through tourism and managing the River Shire.
The program, Shire River Basin Management Program, is investing in national parks within the basin, which includes Liwonde National Park, Lengwe National Park, as well as the Elephant Marsh. Of course, the Elephant Marsh is on customary one. It is being used by the local communities surrounding the area. So in terms of what the project is specifically doing in Liwonde and Lengwe National Park is investments in terms of infrastructure, improving the road network, as well as improving staff facilities in terms of housing. For example, in Lengwe, there will be houses which will be constructed for our ranger guys, as well as other initiatives within the project.
Liwonde National Park is an important tourism site in the country. The national park houses elephants, crocodiles, different types of birds and other wildlife that wall into the forest reserve from time to time because of the biodiversity available in the reserve. However, poaching and encroachment remains the biggest challenge. In order to reduce poaching and encroachment in the park, Liwonde National Park, in conjunction with HELP Malawi, has intensified awareness campaign among communities around the park. Some of the interventions they are carrying out are winter cropping and provision of education to pupils coming from the surrounding communities.
This school here just to give an education which is an alternative to poaching. You know, people here used to poach in Liwonde National Park, fishing and killing animals, fishing wood, things like those, vegetation. So we are trying to give them an alternative how they can make money out of the national park.
At the Elephant Marsh, the project has been conducting studies of the ecology, hydrology and natural resource exploitation and participatory planning to establish community-based wetland management aimed at enhancing the value of the area. The concentration of biodiversity in this country occurs in the protected areas, while outside areas are degraded largely due to increasing human population pressure, poverty, and inadequate appreciation of resources benefits. Kalima says at Lengwe National Park, the project is upgrading park's infrastructure, constructing new ranger camps, upgrading and maintaining road network for improved law enforcement, patrolling and tourism. The project intends to construct and maintain fence to avoid animals going out to the communities to cause havoc.
It was felt that for Shire River to be conserved properly, it was necessary for the whole river basin to be managed. So Lengwe National Park happens to belong to one of the protected areas within this catchment area, and it is therefore going to benefit from this whole project. And the activities which Lengwe is going to benefit include improvement of park infrastructure to improve sustainable management of the park. We are also looking at a number of areas to do with communities. There is what we call community support package, which is aimed at assisting communities to conserve protected areas around them, that is Lengwe National Park, whilst they are improving their livelihood. So in that package, we have some funds to assist communities to look for alternative livelihoods. We will be working together with them to identify income-generating activities, which, when carried out, they will be able to benefit in terms of money for development and their also livelihood as such. And in that sense, we believe that they will try to run away from destroying our natural resources within them. Elephant marsh is the same thing. There is that concept of community-based wetland management, which aims at involving the communities in taking care of the resources. And in that sense, we are trying to assist them in coming up with sustainable management of the natural resources within the marshes as part of the wetland. And in that sense, there will be different research activities going on, which will try to identify how to manage that ecosystem properly, using different stakeholders, including communities. And in that sense, as part of the government, we have plans to buy different equipments to assist in conducting research. At the initial stage, there will be a lot of horizontal and the research activities. Then at the end of that, communities will be assisted.
At Liwonde National Park, the Shire River Basin Management Program is helping in building the capacity of park management staff, restoring wet season road access of rangers and tourists. The program will also address the issue of charcoal production. Most of the Blantyre's charcoal comes from Neno and Mwanza. Both districts lie in the Shire River Basin. In Zomba, charcoal comes from either Domasi or Chingale escarpment, which lie within the Shire River Basin. Producers range from small to large scale. Many small-scale producers operate at a subsistence level, and charcoal offers a vital opportunity to generate income. Michael Piri has been plying his business for over 5 years now and blames the production of charcoal on urban dwellers who happen to be main consumers in the face of intermittent power supply. And farmers at Chingale Irrigation Scheme say they have already begun benefiting through interventions by Shire River Basin Management Program. Willard Nombe says he is able to harvest twice per year due to the expertise and support from Shire River Basin Management Program.
ife amene tikulima kunoko tikuthandizanso anthu ena amene akulephera kulima ulimi umene tikuwathandiza ndithu. Panopo chakudya ena ndithu apeza kuzera mwandani mwa ife.
Ntchito imene iyi tilandira ndi manja awiri. Cholinga ntchito iyi ikutichotsa mavuto osiyanasiyana. Chifukwa chokuti nthawi yonse mbuyo monsemu tikangokhala palibe chochita china chilichonse. Ndiye boma pomakhazikitsa maulimi othirira ngati amene wawa ife tikukhala osangalala nawo kwambiri.
The project coordinator of Shire River Basin Management Program says it is the intention of this project that after 15 years of its implementation, people in this Shire River Basin would have experienced immense socio-economic transformation due to the use of the available resources in a much more sustainable way.
We are focusing on Upper Lisungwi in Icheu. We are focusing on Upper Wankulumadzi in Neno. We are focusing on Chingare area in Zomba and Machinga, but we are also focusing on Blantyre escarpment that is in Kuntembo area. These are the 4 that we are focusing on. The choice is not by accident. They were scientifically looked at, and in these particular areas it was actually discovered that most of the aeration that goes into the Shire are emerging from these priority catchments. Of course, to rehabilitate a catchment is a mammoth task. You have to start from where the river starts. You have to treat the whole catchment up to the Shire. So we are only beginning with the upper parts of these, and there are other interventions by other partners that are also focusing on the adjacent sub-catchments, and we are working in collaboration. The idea is, as we move to phase 2, phase 3 of the program, we'll make sure that these sub-basins, the 4 priority ones, we ensure that we completely treat them, and by doing so, we hope we can reduce erosion that is giving trouble to hydropower production in the middle of the Shire, but we can also ensure, because as we plan for these reduction in siltation, we are also planning for intervention that will make sure that people look at catchment rehabilitation, catchment management, with a view of getting immediate benefits for themselves, but at the same time, we are ensuring that the environment is kept in good shape.
Malawi government, through Shire River Basin Management Program, intends to lay the foundation for more integrated investment planning and for modernized system operations for the Shire Basin. A modern integrated knowledge base and analytical tools will be developed, and structured stakeholder consultations will facilitate investment planning and systems operation.